ladies and gentlemen. Shirley Dobbs here with Patsy Boggs to talk to you about something very important.
20 years ago on this exact day, the unimaginable happened.
May 20th, 1927, at 7:52 a.m., Charles Lindbergh took flight from Long Island, New York, across the Atlantic Ocean to Paris, France.
He was the first man ever to fly solo across the Atlantic, all for a grand prize of $25,000.
All he brought with him were 4 sandwiches, 2 canteens of water, and 451 gallons of gas.
Earlier today, iconic star Betty White was at the site of takeoff.
Now, before we get into it, he was a real dish, wasn't he?
Yes, he was a mighty dreamboat.
Hot diggity dog. Hello, my fellow Americans. I can't believe I was alive for something this amazing. I've witnessed a miracle. Even though I was only 5 years old, I remember as if it were yesterday. The papers reading, Lindbergh arrives on record-breaking flight.
Now back to the studio with Shirley Dobson and Patsy Boggs.
Hello. The plane he flew was named the Spirit of St. Louis.
He believed it was a real person, and they went through all of their experiences together.
Okay, now, that's some gobbledygook. First of all, he said, and I quote, "It's like a living creature, gliding along smoothly, happily, as though a successful flight means as much to it as it does to me, as though we shared our experiences together, each feeling beauty, life, death, as keenly, each dependent on the other loyally. We have made this flight across the ocean, not I or it."
So it's sort of like a you die, I die sort of thing.
Yes, even though it was just a machine.
Hold your horses. How did the name the Spirit of St. Louis come about?
Now, that is a great question. It was named in honor of its supporters in St. Louis, Missouri, who showed him the appreciation of paying for the plane itself.
It's badonkers that he flew all alone with the Spirit of St. Louis. How brave would one man have to be to do that?
I believe ya. Let's go back to Betty White again, who saw everything that happened.
Now back to Betty White live.
So, I was squished between 500 others right here 20 years ago. Even though I was yay tall, pretty small, I saw everything right before my own eyeballs. Right here by my feet on Roosevelt Field, Long Island, he took off, and I didn't think he would make it. But lo and behold, the device flew right above my head. And golly, was it B.E.
Yes, the motor was started at 7:40 a.m. and he took off for Paris at 7:52 a.m. precisely.
How amazing would it have been to witness the very first flight across the Atlantic?
Really amazing. During the flight, Lindbergh carried conversations with people on the ground by flying low about 1,500 feet to the ground.
Most of them even replied with hand signals.
Hand signals like these?
Gee golly. Not again.
Here is Lindbergh standing in front of his plane, the Spirit of St. Louis, in Long Island, New York, minutes before the plane took off for Paris.
This is when Lindbergh landed with the Spirit of St. Louis, and the whole crowd was congratulating them, cheering them on, rushing to go see them.
Now, this is Lindbergh after the plane, landed and everything, and everyone's holding him up in their arms and happy and excited and cheering him on.
Here we have some people preparing the Spirit of St. Louis for the long flight from New York to Paris. As you can see, they're very excited and happy.
This again is Lindbergh looking off as he's taking flight, looking at the crowd, saying bye with his stare.
You can see it in his eyes how proud he is.
Yes.
I hope you enjoyed those pictures from the scene of the Lindbergh.
Okay. During the flight, the weather got so bad that Lindbergh considered turning around and going back to land in New York.
Did he have any time to sleep during the flight?
That's a good question. I know that he mentioned that he would be awake for days on end without, any rest at all.
We know what that means, folks.
I don't really know what that means. What does that mean, folks?
I heard from some people that he experienced hallucinations.
Gee willikers, I heard that too.
I mean, with that much determination to win 25,000 greenbacks,
Cha-ching!
people would just risk their lives.
Okay. Holy mackerel. He was going up against others just to win all that money.
Yes, but now back to the more important things. As he was reaching the finish lines, the beacons along the Paris-London airway became visible a little before 5 p.m. New York time.
Gee, imagine seeing all that and realizing you made it.
Yeah, and the whole crowd of about 10,000 people just standing there, waiting for him to cheer him on. When he finally landed, the crowd broke out through each other, running towards him, shouting praises and congratulations. He did it.
Everyone called him the Lone Eagle because of his bold and amazing flight.
I mean, how could someone not be amazed by someone that just crossed one of the biggest oceans in the world?
I'm just all hubba bubba about this man and all the Lulu he's done.
I mean, obviously, he's the honcho of this world. Now we welcome Betty White in our studio.
Hey guys! Hi again. I am just totally 110% in love with the accomplishments of Lindbergh and his St. Louis. They were such a wonderful, wonderful pair. From the morning he took off, when I believed he wouldn't make it anywhere and just drop and be a failure, like a lot of people, I witnessed the greatest miracle of all time, and I'd say that I lived through this moment. I love America! My apologies. It's okay. Thanks, guys.
Mm-hmm.
But this is truly, really, 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 really amazing. And I really look forward to being alive and witnessing many other miracles of my fellow Americans. If y'all were wondering, he took his final flight on April 30th, 1928. What a shame. Last one. And St. Louis, the spirit of St. Louis, is now still in the Smithsonian Museum, and hopefully will be there for many, many, many more years to come.
Thanks, Betty. Okay, now that's all for tonight's broadcast, folks. I look forward to seeing you next time on
The Killer Dillers!